What is going on, everyone? Anthony and Jon here.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
And we're here with another Resident Evil 3 Remake video. And tonight, we're talking about the 5 things that we want to see. Our expectations for Resident Evil 3 Remake. And I'm going to have Jon start it off.
Yeah, so one of the things that we really want to see return in the Resident Evil 3 Remake is the live selection. Now, in the original game, Anthony, as you know, they used the live selection to basically kind of spice up the gameplay to give you kind of a different playthrough every time that you played the game.
Right.
Those were designed as, binary choices, yes or no, or left or right. Obviously, they're a little bit more intricate than that, but they were designed to kind of, make the gameplay not feel as stale. Now, while I think it would be kind of silly to have a live selection very similar to that in the remake, I am personally of the opinion that they should bake it into the gameplay and make it feel more natural. If you have this way to go and this way to go, maybe you go this way this time, and then the next time you play, you go this way. And since Nemesis is hopefully always on your tail, it could make the replayability of the game go up. What do you think about that?
I think that's a good point. I think baking it in, like you said, is a great term because it makes it so it's more fluid. And for today's gaming and how the game is structured and how we saw Resident Evil 2 Remake, it would make sense for them to have maybe these quick events where you can choose certain routes to go, and maybe you have to circle back around to the other route, but it's just a different way of playing it. And it also gives you some replay value within the live selection, because we're just like we were talking about before we started recording, and a lot of our conversations we've been having, off the mic and off camera, just about how live selection is a big part of Resident Evil 3, and I think that's a thing to keep in mind, is that's what kind of makes it stand out a little bit in regards to some of those additional ways you can go about the game.
Yeah, for example, in one of the live selections, you have to choose to turn on the generator and electrocute the zombies or run out the back.
Such a good scene too.
It's a very great scene.
If you blow up all their heads and just
yeah. And one of the ways the remake could tackle a very similar situation, let's say that does make it into the remake.
Sure. Let's use an example.
Exactly. I think it's when you run away, he's waiting for you on the roof, right?
Correct.
If you don't zap the zombies, he's waiting out there with the rocket launcher. In the remake, it could be a cool, interesting thing where the same thing happens, but instead of the game telling you what to do, which we'll touch on a little bit of this later,
right.
But it would be cool if Jill was talks to you. She talks to you. You know how Leon will go, "Oh shit!" There's a zombie or something, or Claire will be like,
right.
"Leave me alone." It would be cool if Jill said something I don't know, this is just rough, guys, but if she was "There's so many zombies, maybe I can use the generator, or maybe I can just run away," and it kind of gives the player
right. She kind of talks to herself.
She talks to herself,
right.
And gives the player the live selection without ever intending it to. So if you zap it, maybe it zaps up and blows up something in the room and blocks you from being able to run out the door you usually can. Or instead of putting you on rails. I still think the player should be given absolute control.
Right.
I think the on rails thing should be to a minimum. The only one that I could see, if they keep it, the on rails thing being required, it would be interesting to kind of have a live action selection where you can tilt the stick left or right to decide in a split decision to jump off the bridge or not.
Right.
If they keep that bridge scene in the game. Now, I do hope that if there is a secret ending and multiple endings to the game, that scene isn't as heavy as it is in the original.
Right.
You jump off, you get the good one. You don't jump off, you get the bad one. Right?
Yeah. Well, it's essentially, Nikolai fighting Nikolai, or he dies by Nemesis in the ceiling.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that the live selection can be forgiving with the ending, and I hope that there is a lot of secrets to discover along the way. I think it would be really cool if every gameplay, or rather every game through, I should say, every playthrough of the game, felt a little different, but the same enough to where if you didn't want to play it multiple times, you weren't missing anything.
It's still giving you the same ending, one story. It's just exactly. how you're getting there is different. Your path.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think there should also be, which we'll expand upon again later, but I also think that there should be a secret ending with Barry. I think Barry should make a return.
That'd be very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, because like we said earlier in another video, I believe, it's one of those things where the secret ending and the regular ending, the outcome's the same. Jill
and that's
escapes.
also due to the bridge. So it's like that berry ending is if you jump off, you automatically got the berry ending. If you jump off the
exactly.
bridge.
And if the ending doesn't change either way, Carlos and Jill get away, then having the secret ending would be a nice touch, kind of like a Silent Hill, where there is multiple endings, but like the best ending is when you get the one with Barry. It would be cool if like that was a secret requirement, like the only way to get that is to do a perfect playthrough, read all the files, you know, get maybe Jill's diary returns. You have to get Jill's diary to get the ending.
Right.
Or perhaps you have to down Nemesis at key points in the story instead of fleeing from him. And it has like an individual tracker in the background. I think that would be really cool. But, you know, that's always speculation. We could talk about that later on.
Right. The next thing we have on here, number 4, is crafting gunpowder. So bringing back the gunpowder crafting, because obviously it was present in 3, but it was also present in Resident Evil 2. You know, the thing with the Resident Evil 3, specifically freeze rounds, is something we wanted to bring up because freeze rounds are essential to Resident Evil 3 in my opinion, of how you go about Nemesis and how it helps you. And different combinations of the gunpowder. And obviously, most of you that are listening to this are familiar with that concept. But we figured they're going to keep it. We figured they're going to use and recycle a lot of stuff from Resident Evil 2 in a good way. When we say recycle, we don't mean that in a negative connotation.
Not at all.
So we expect them to keep that. It's very unique to that experience. And we expect that to make a full return. But with the grenade rounds, we only got, we got flame rounds in 2, and we also got We got
acid
flame
rounds.
and acid. So now we should get flame. We should do flame or grenade, flame or explosive rounds, acid, flame, if they want to keep both, and then the freeze rounds.
Which would be 4.
Yeah,
which is 2 more.
And if you do A, B, and A, B, that gives you freeze rounds. So
What gives you C?
Right. So if you do A, B, gives you C,
yeah.
and then A, B again. Yeah. So
it's like ABC 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and then they still have the enhanced ammo, so we expect that to also make a return. But I think it'd be cool.
That's the interesting thing too about the freeze rounds. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, fine.
But in the original game, you can actually mix gunpowder with explosive rounds to get them.
Right.
But seeing as how they've removed explosive rounds from Resident Evil 2, and it is the same grenade launcher. In the originals, anyway, it's the same from 2 to 3. Like, it's the same model. If they do include Frost, do you think they'll include it, like, just on its own by itself as a rare thing? Or do you think that they'll...
You can actually go out of your way and make it.
Include it so that, yeah, like, you can actually go out of your way and make it. Because you can't combine anything with flame rounds to get Frost rounds.
Well, that's a good point.
Acid's different, so like it's got to be standalone. You would think, right?
I would think that, yeah, it would be either standalone or the combination or whatever gunpowder you need for that is going to be harder to come by. So it's like you still have to craft it,
which never made sense.
The resource, right?
You can't turn grenades into ice.
Right.
Like it's nitrogen, right? That's what I would imagine.
Right. That's why I hope they don't cut it, because even though it is kind of silly, it is still kind of cool. And obviously,
it makes sense. That's a real thing,
right?
You like not well. I guess it wouldn't be liquid nitrogen, but it's like
right. But the way to combine it, I mean,
exactly.
Like you said, like the way you make it in 3 technically doesn't really make the game has to game.
Yeah.
As John always says, the game has to game. But again, I think that finding it maybe or making it a little bit more of a challenge to get, and then when you get it, you have to really like hold on to it. Like if you get 6 rounds, you better make sure you're hitting all those fucking rounds, because you're going to have to use it for a fight. You're not just going to want to use them on like brain suckers or liquors or whatever's roaming around the streets.
Well, not only that, but Frost rounds, and obviously we're spending a lot of time on Frost rounds because it's like so important to us.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that sarcastically. Like it literally is. Like when we sat down to talk about this video, the very first thing I said, which was earlier today at work, while we were both at work.
Yeah.
I literally said the number one most important thing that they need to do is they need to bring them back.
Yeah.
Because they're so iconic to that game.
They've been absent ever since.
Yeah, and just like Nemesis in general, just like him just when he's like getting shot with them, like everything is so cool. But that brings up a lot of points that we wanted to talk about, because which we obviously we're going to do a weapons video. So we're going to go into a little bit more detail about like what we think about that, but just like to hit on 2 quick points. The Frost rounds are so crucial because How about one point? Just hit on one quick point. In a game, like let's think Resident Evil 2, like all of a sudden had a DLC and you had frost rounds. Slowing Mr. X down is like important for a lot of people. Like if you shot frost grenades or frost rounds
just
at
to slow him
Nemesis while he's chasing you,
right?
Just to slow him down so you can have a minute to think about like where you're supposed to go, even if it's just a half step slower. That's insanely beneficial in that game.
And any of you that played RE2 and saw how Mr. X acted, you can probably think, oh man, if I had some freeze rounds, slow his ass down, maybe I could do the puzzle for a little bit, while he's chasing my ass in the library, punching me up the fucking ladder. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like maybe you have more of an advantage.
It's just him stomping after you, like do. You shoot frost rounds, and all of a sudden the do becomes do. You have more that adds up. Like you're buying yourself more time.
And with how quick you can move in the game, in Resident Evil 2, let's say it's the same kind of movement and stuff. It's like, that helps. And that's something we'll make on with the next point too.
But before that, like you said earlier, I cut you off, so I'm sorry, but you said about the enhanced rounds. We do think they're going to return.
Oh yeah, the enhanced damage. Yeah.
Because it was in 2. And that's what you said.
Right, yeah. So we hope to see that. The gunpowder is just like, it was always my favorite thing from the original. And when I saw it come back in 7, I was like, that's kind of cool. And then, cool. And then when I saw it in 2, I was like, just keep it, man, at this point, because it works so well. It could have been something they could have scrapped after 7. They didn't scrap it after 7. It worked with 2 so well. And obviously make it, harder to come by if you're on hardcore. But
that was something that was different too, because Claire had that revolver, which she did not have in the original.
Right.
Well, she had her secret weapon.
Yeah.
Was the Colt SAA, but
yeah. But yeah, so with the crafting, keep it in there. It's essential.
Like you were saying about the frost rounds. With the frost rounds being so pivotal to be maybe perhaps being something that you can use to slow down Nemesis. I think that's like a beautiful way to segue into our next point.
Oh yeah. A great point for number 3, and that is keeping the Nemesis encounters consistent, because he is the big dog of the whole game. He is going to be on your ass consistently, and we want the encounters to remain tense and unexpected. And working with the new camera system, because the one thing that I was, and you guys that listen to the show and heard me talk about it in the past, is I was always, before RE2 Remake was announced officially and we saw the camera angles and stuff, I said there was no fucking way that you could make it work with behind the back camera angles. Like, it just didn't seem possible. But then when I played Resident Evil 2 and I saw how they handled Mr. X, I was like, okay, this changed my mind. I ate my words on that one. I was like, you know what? I was being, kind of closed-minded about that. I didn't actually play it to see what it was like. And to see it in this perspective with behind the back and everything, and having, him chase you, they can make it really unique, but they have to keep making it, frightening, make it refreshing, and give some people initiative to fight Nemesis. That can still be with old school weapon drops, or maybe he can have some kind of, drop or something. But that would give people initiative to actually kill him, versus Mr. X, where you're just fucking hiding the whole time, waiting for him to walk away from the save room or whatever. And then, oh, there he is. It's like, what can we do to make it, switch it up? But also, if they make these encounters special, like what we talked about on the leak video, about like maybe sometimes he has the rocket launcher. Maybe sometimes he doesn't have the rocket launcher. Maybe he's just chasing you with his tentacles during one section. Maybe he's doing both. It's essential to the game. If you fuck up the Nemesis encounters, that's not what Resident Evil 3 is. You got to make that consistent.
Yeah, so to your defense, in your defense rather, about the camera angle thing, I still don't think that we were wrong. I do think that they did a fantastic job with the remake too, in terms of like building horror and fear.
How they handled Mr. X.
Yeah, how they handled Mr. X. I think it's different. I think that I think it's up to personal opinion, which is more effective. The fixed camera angles or the over the shoulder.
Yeah.
And in your defense, I really do think that Nemesis works in a different way with fixed camera angles. Like when you see him coming after you, that's the scary part. It does kind of take away from the scariness when Nemesis is going to be behind you most of the time. But that leads me to my point. why don't we just talk a little bit about what we want to see from Nemesis, like what kind of gameplay mechanics or whatever you want to see, and I'll let you take it away with that first.
Okay.
And then I'll go over kind of like my spiel or
Right.
spiel. I say spiel because of Pokemon. Anybody who knows who that is, it's a very cute Pokemon. But yeah. So why don't you talk a little bit about like what you want to see, and then I'll go over what I want to see.
Yeah. So for the Nemesis mechanics, for him, I mean, normally, keeping him as faster than Mr. X, I think is important. Making him more of a threat, and the showdown between Jill and Nemesis has to have a good dynamic of having some kind of, maybe it's a dodge, maybe it's, it doesn't even have to be, we don't even have to really get into dodging, but it's really more so of like how many hits Nemesis can take, because if you can put Nemesis down and he goes down once and then he's about to get back up again, there's a reason why you should be able to like stay there and fight. And normally if he's around if they're spawning him in areas where there's other enemies and stuff like that, where he can like smack him out of the way, that'd be really cool. Because I know they kind of did that with RE2, where like Mr. X would be like where the liquor is and stuff, but there wouldn't be that like interaction. That'd be kind of cool if he like, throws zombies out of the way, or like shoves their heads down. Like he has that like way of like moving.
Well, he does. He does bitch slap Marvin.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, Mr. X does
okay.
knock zombies out of the way.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen him knock liquors out of the way.
Right.
But he will do like a little backhand.
Yeah.
But he doesn't Nemesis punch them.
Right.
He just kind of like swats them away.
Well, I'm kind of curious at like, how they're going to handle the fighting with Nemesis from behind the back, because it is a little bit different than Mr. X. He is faster, so him behind you, like you said, I wonder how they're going to handle that. But I mean, I hope that they keep it
I have an interesting
really
point
intense.
To that.
Yeah.
I think one of the ways to make Nemesis really effective, they do this in the original game a few times, but most of the time when Nemesis is pursuing you, pun intended, he is known as the pursuer. More often than not, he's usually pursuing you from the rear. Like he's chasing you. I think one of the ways they could really make him scary with the new camera system is, I say new like it's new. It's been around since 4,
right.
but like with the over-shoulder perspective that they use in Remake 2, they should really take advantage of putting him in front of you in tight places where you have to fight him.
I was thinking about even him breaking through walls and breaking down doors, like all the doors.
All the doors. Let him go through all of them.
Yeah.
Like what if at a certain point he becomes like, you piss him off enough to where instead of having a door to go through, he just destroys it. And then all of a sudden, your 3 rooms that you just ran through, all of the enemies can now traverse.
Right.
Like it could make like a more open world Resident Evil, because as we stand now, there's no loading times. Very few.
He literally walk. It's seamless. RE2 is
seamless.
fucking seamless.
It's so seamless.
Yeah.
Like you don't ever see loading times, and with that being a thing, you very well could make like this crazy ass game,
right,
where every enemy can run everywhere. The only instance where you really see that being a restriction, because the zombies can't like open the doors and stuff, is in the very first room in the police station, the shutter that opens. The zombies won't chase you into the main hall.
Right, yeah, that little
they stop
yeah.
walking, and they'll like turn around, even though Marvin's in the main hall, but they won't walk out there. There's like something in the programming, I guess, that prevents them from like seeing the light.
There's probably a reason for that or something. Yeah.
I'm sure.
But yeah, to have like the different like doors being knocked down and then the enemies being able to bleed into the other rooms, I like that idea a lot.
It would make it
because
it would make the city feel
fucking harder.
Well, yeah, but it would make the city feel invasive.
Yeah, like imagine if he
like everything's closing around.
Imagine if he like breaks through a blockade and a bunch of more zombies come through. That was originally, because we're gonna see a lot of barricades and police cars blocked off the roads and shit like that. So like having him bust through that, or even if it's in the police station for that short amount of time and all these zombies come through, it's like it increases the challenge because they're not separated by the door.
There's a lot of things to consider with Nemesis. Like some of the things that I want to see Nemesis be able to do is, I would really find it interesting if the more you fought Nemesis, the easier he became. So like I want to see Nemesis, how like in the original game, as you go on, he's kind of always the same difficulty.
Yeah.
But at the end, he's like broken down, and then he's type 2. because he's taken so much damage that he's like evolving to try to help himself like beat you.
Right.
Because he's taken so much damage, I would love to see Nemesis break down over the course of the game if you choose to fight him. But on the reverse side, if you always choose to run from him as a player, like you're just like, fuck that guy. I'm not going
Which
after
some
him.
new players are going to be like
Yeah,
that.
well, some players were terrified of Mr. X.
Right.
Like, they couldn't take the constant pressure of them chasing. And like I said, way back then, I was like, if you think that's bad, wait until Nemesis is running after you.
Yeah, that's something we said on our 24-hour stream.
Literally, on the 24-hour stream, we even said that like right off the bat, and we called it like it's gonna happen. If it doesn't, I mean, it's a shame, but like it's gonna happen. And
right.
And you know, one of the things I think that we both agree on is we want Nemesis to be the relentless pursuer that he is.
Yes.
Like, I don't want him to go down. I don't want him to be like, we debated about this a little earlier before we recorded this video, but we were both on opposite sides of him dropping weapons.
Right. Right.
I don't want him to drop anything because I don't want him to never go down. I want him to either know that he doesn't have a chance, so he temporarily strategically flees, or I want him to fall like Mr. X on the knee and you slow him down, and then I want him to get right back up. And on
persistent
hardcore
motherfucker,
mode,
yeah.
Also, this is my biggest complaint about Mr. X on hardcore mode is he was still slow. He wasn't fast enough, dog. Like he wasn't fast enough.
Right.
So one of the things I would like to see, if Nemesis comes back, full blown, like super speed Nemesis, where he's just running. I would really like to see it to where in hardcore mode, the amount of time that he goes down is like severely cut. I'm talking like you have 10 seconds or less.
Right, to get the hell out of there if you're trying to run. Yeah.
Yes. I also don't want Nemesis to be a Mr. X clone. I want him to be smarter. So if you knock him down and then run, I don't want him kind of just like walking in and out of the halls, like looking for you. I want him to be programmed to be able to just come after you whenever he wants. Like, I want him to stalk you. He jumps. Man can jump. I want him to be able to use the 3D environment to both be able to go places you can't go, to see things you can't see, and to go where you can't go.
Because we're opening it up to the city, guys. Keep that in mind. Like, this is a bigger, broader game in regards to being outside and being exposed to everything. If he's on a fucking rooftop and he has the advantage immediately, because he could be watching your ass, stalking your ass from the rooftop, and just drop down wherever the fuck he pleases.
Yeah, you know what else I think would be really cool?
What's that?
Number one, I think they should not use the same entry points as they did in the original. Mm-hmm. They should mix it up. Just like in Remake, how the dog doesn't break the glass the first time.
Right, yeah.
I think they should mix up where he attacks you. I think they should still keep some of them.
Some of the traditional ones.
Like the window in the police station.
Or even where we first see him in front of the police station.
Yeah,
that's classic.
Like, that's classic.
Yeah.
I would like them to keep that. I think that would be cool. However,
they can fuck with the fans.
I would love for them to have different places that he appears that is randomly generated at the start of your game. Like maybe he busts through a wall here, but if he doesn't bust through the wall there, maybe he busts through a window here.
Well, it's like every time you play it, even for experienced players like us that will play it over and over again, it's different every time. And I think that actually adds, that's a good point. That actually adds a really good suspenseful kind of feeling to it. You know what I mean?
Because if you think about it, like every window that you walk near,
it's possible that he can just come out and you don't know which one.
They could program it to where he can just jump through it.
Or jump off of any rooftop.
He can just come wherever he wants to. Like, that sounded really sexual. But he could just basically show up whenever he wanted to. And that would be so cool. I would love the element of randomness for Nemesis to be able to pick and choose randomly where he wants to attack you. Instead of coming through at the police station where he comes through the window. Maybe in your playthrough, he'll come through the window. But then in my playthrough, maybe he'll bust the whole fucking wall down.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it will change.
That'll also be interesting, too, because, you know, some people, like, they'll watch a Let's Play or they'll watch a stream or they'll watch a stream before they even play it.
And they'll be like,
But
yeah,
when then
this
they,
motherfucker's going to come through the window.
He's going to come through the window. And then when they play it,
and
that doesn't happen. And you're
he's like,
is the game broken? Is it supposed to happen? Yes,
now, obviously, there's technical limitations.
Sure.
Because if they were going to make a world where, like, literally the walls were destroyable and you can shoot the walls, like, that would be insane. But if they were to do that, obviously there would be technical limitations on what they could actually do.
They would have to program it in a way where it makes sense, basically.
Yeah, but something like windows or points of access where those are all doable, and I think it would be really cool. I think my biggest disappointment with Resident Evil 3 Remake will be if he literally uses the same code as Mr. X, but he can run.
I hope not.
Like, if he's literally...
That'd be a bummer.
If he's literally, like,
reskin.
using the same animations to walk under the doors and stuff, I would be okay with that. If he's using some of the same animations, I'd be okay with it. But because he's a different character, because he's a lot more...
Make him his own.
Relentless, like, I would... Yeah, obviously, being his own is the best case scenario. But I would really like it to just be, like... Relentless is the only word I can think of. I just want Nemesis to be on you all the time.
It's the pursuit is real, man. The hot pursuit.
The pursuer. The relentless pursuer.
As Jill's trying to escape the city, this thing is making sure that it can do whatever the fuck it can to make sure that it is eliminating all the STARS members, and she's on his fucking list. She's the last one. After Brad, that's it.
Yeah, I wonder if she would have killed Jill, or if Nemesis, I guess we don't know what his gender is. But if Nemesis was to kill Jill after Brad, would he have gone to Europe to try to kill Chris? Like, would have he been like...
All right, time to take a plane. Let's
all
go.
Right, time to take a plane. Could you imagine him, like, getting on, like, American Airlines and just, like, sitting down in the seat?
He just has the stars.
And they're like, do you need anything to eat? And he's just like, stars. And they're like, what? Dancing with the Stars? Like, what? I don't understand what you're doing here.
Yeah, that's all he says. Stars.
But no, jokes aside, like, that is actually a thing I wonder, though. That would be interesting.
Yeah. But again, like, all these points are interesting because, it makes up the game. Like, if these are done right, this will make for an even better game than Resident Evil 2, and on a bigger scale. Why wouldn't you want to top that,
Which,
and make
just
it perfect?
to be perfectly clear, it has all of the potential to be a better game than Remake 2.
Yeah.
Remake 2 it paved the way.
Right.
Set the bar.
Everyone loved it.
It still had problems. Everybody loved it. I loved it. It still had problems. I still have problems with it. But Resident Evil 3 Remake we could be looking at, potentially, the best Resident Evil game in the entire franchise.
Yeah.
If done correctly.
Yeah.
And then if it's done correctly, I am so looking forward to Code Veronica.
Yeah, I was going to say
because I want to see what they can do with that storyline.
If this does well, you could bet on Code Veronica.
Although I will say,
maybe not right away, but we'll get it.
No, it probably like 4 years.
Or we might get remake of the first one again first,
which I think
what they want to do.
I think Code Veronica should come first, but
me too.
I do want to say, because this is actually something we overlooked in the videos we've posted so far. And something nobody's really talked about, which was really surprising. Like, nobody in our comment section has said anything about this, I don't think. I'm kind of disappointed that Nemesis isn't in the title.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of disappointed it's not Resident Evil. Like, I kind of wish it said the title of the game
subtitle was there.
RE3 Nemesis. Don't you kind of feel like it's weird that it's not?
No, I agree. Because it's just we're so used to it, and it's Nemesis. It's literally Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Like it's him. It's about him. You know what I mean?
It's the first game in the series with a subtitle,
right?
And then Code Veronica had one. But like, I'm kind of a little disappointed the box art doesn't have the word Nemesis on it,
right?
Because then what do you think they would call Code Veronica? Like, would it be just Resident Evil CV?
Right.
Like, would they not call it Code Veronica?
Are they not going to call it the full thing? Yeah. They're trying to go with a new aesthetic, so maybe they're like, let's drop the subtitle.
It's not the end of the world. Guys, don't be, like, flaming in the...
Right.
It's not... I'm not saying it's, like, going to fail because it doesn't say Nemesis. It's a nitpick. Like, I'm kind of curious as to what the decision was.
What was that artistic choice? Yeah.
They didn't want to convolute it, maybe?
Maybe not.
Maybe they didn't want to convolute it, or maybe this is their way of saying, the original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis was a spin-off project. that we basically rigged into a mainline game.
Right.
But this is the real deal.
This is the real deal.
This is the real deal, Resident Evil 3. That'd be funny if they've remade Code Veronica and called it Resident Evil 4. Could you imagine?
That's what people called it back then.
Yeah,
though.
could you imagine if they were just like...
Because it's, you know...
Resident Evil 4 and everybody's like screaming in the crowd and then it shows Claire and they're just like, Nani?
This isn't Resident Evil 4.
Oh my god, Dustin would hate that. Dustin would be like, are you fucking kidding me? How am I supposed to organize this? It would be funny. But yeah, I think we kind of covered everything we want to see. Rocket launcher.
Yeah.
I want to see the rocket launcher come back. I think it would be cool. If you've watched my defensive weapon video, it would be so cool, and the rocket launcher could work if they gave us smoke grenades. That would be so cool.
Because then you could blind him from shooting his fucking missiles across the map.
You would have a way to combat it.
Right.
You know, it would be really cool. And maybe it could be cool against other enemies, like hunters.
Right.
They don't know where you're at, so they just stand still.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just like...
They're like, well, we're just going to wait here.
Guess
And
can't do
that's
nothing.
it. Yeah. That's it. Well, for number 2, what we have on our list here is Jill Valentine and Carlos Oliveira. And this point right here is expanding on these two characters. Why? Well, this is Jill's story. This is her escape, but this is also Carlos and Jill both escaping together. They're both heroes in this situation. So how Jill Valentine is going to be portrayed and presented in such an important factor in RE3 Remake. The entire series really revolves around, you know, Jill, Chris, Claire, Leon, like these main characters, and how they do them in this new light. This is the first time we've seen Jill in this new remake light, and they gotta do her justice. I mean, she's my favorite character, so like, I'm really hoping, my fingers are fucking crossed. And the same thing with Carlos, like to see Carlos interact with her, to give it more of a lengthened kind of partnership. Maybe we'll see more on that. You know, I think at this point, because we're seeing, you know, this bigger scale of things, I expect, you know, Carlos to have a bigger role. Maybe some of the UBCS members to also have a bigger role in some of the cinematic stuff. But the way they do Jill is like essential to me. I mean, like they got to do it right. I love the design. I want to get that out of the way for people that are maybe wondering if you didn't see our other videos.
Totally.
I love the design.
I went out of my way to say that in the defensive weapon video.
Yeah, I love the stars badge by her belt. I love the blue theme that they're keeping with her, the blue style.
I honestly think that she's
We also can't see if she has a skirt yet. People made
but,
that.
Yeah, people. I think to me it looks like she's wearing the pants that she would have worn in Remake.
Right.
Like she's wearing those blue.
It's like a combat
cargo.
Yeah, it's like cargo pants.
But they're like
something.
cargo, like military. Or
and they got
military,
straps on it for guns and shit.
It
and
definitely
magazines.
does not look like she's wearing a skirt. And the reason why I say that is because I'm not looking at the picture in front of me, so this could be wrong. But she's very clearly wearing like not a utility belt, but some type of, you know, special forces belt or police force belt.
Right.
That's got to be attached to belt loops, which skirts usually do not have.
Right.
I'm not a woman, so I don't know if there are skirts. I'm sure there's skirts
You
out
could
there
probably
that
find
have
a
like,
tactical skirt.
yeah, I'm sure there's skirts out there that have like sashes and stuff on them, but I don't think they have belts like that to be able to hold up things like guns.
And you know, I respect a whole new look for Jill.
And I honestly, I just really want Jill to have those boots.
Yeah.
I don't care about the other stuff. I just want her to have the boots and the jeans.
Give me
and
the long
spaghetti.
brown boots.
Dude, the spaghetti strap is a trade-off. It's better than a tube top.
Right. And we can always unlock the costumes. And
Yeah,
we play it,
you're going to get the
they'll
mini
have
skirt.
it.
If you don't think you can unlock the mini skirt, you're an idiot.
Well, what do you think about maybe playing Carlos a little bit longer or expanding on that? What do you think about that?
I think that playing as Carlos longer is cool because which ties into our number one most important thing.
Yes.
Which we'll kind of just merge these ones together.
Yeah, go ahead.
We kind of counted down the list from 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1.
Right.
But you know, going back to Jill, I want the same thing from Carlos. I would like him to ditch the really stereotypical, like, I'm a ladies' man, flirtatious attitude.
Right.
I think that they can add charm to his character and his ego without him being
without being
cringy.
too corny.
Yeah, like he's really corny. He's like
right.
almost Steve levels of corny.
Right.
And if it wasn't for his voice actor, like
it also makes you wonder, like maybe those are the reasons why they just never brought him back. So like we just can't really do anything with this guy.
Well,
like,
yeah, but especially like in the world. I mean, I'm not trying to trigger anybody, so I'm sorry if this triggers you. I'm being as open-minded, and just thought-provoking as possible.
Oh no.
But in the world we live in today, with things like Frozen 2, Kingdom Hearts 3, and the very big, social and feminist era, I think it would be something that Capcom would be very weary on, having this character kind of just walking around like hitting on a girl all the time. Like, there's no way the Belle's going to happen. Like, Jill's not going to be able to move the Belle. Like, there's no way that's going to happen. Carlos isn't that much stronger than Jill. They're both trained professionals.
Right.
You know
or
what I
you
mean?
can
Like,
literally just climb over it.
yeah, so I understand there will be people out there who physically on paper will say, like, men are stronger than women. And, while that may be true to a physicality point, somebody who's specially trained is specially trained.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And
there's
Jill is no one to fuck with.
any
She's a
specially,
badass
like, if
female.
Jill Valentine was a real person, literally almost probably every single person in our comment section, including myself and including yourself, would probably get no diffed by her. There's just no question.
Yeah.
She's a trained professional. She's a trained, whatever.
And that makes it to a point too. It's like they got to make her badass.
No, they're going to make her badass
Yeah.
for sure. But I think one of the most important and delicate situations here is how they're going to handle Carlos. I like Carlos's design. Somebody in the comment section pointed out he kind of looks like a Rambo, which we both agree.
Yeah, he does.
He has a very Rambo silhouette.
I like the rugged look.
I love the rugged look because it kind of makes him seem like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what he is.
Yeah. The only thing that's
He's like a douchebag.
The funny thing that I talked to Eli about, Eli is he's in the
Discord?
well, he's in a Discord, but he's also he was on Game Complainers, and he brought up, he's like, the only thing that I noticed, he's like, just being in the military, he's like, the gun that Carlos has wasn't around in 1998. Fun little fact that's on the little artwork. I don't think that was around.
What, the M16 he has?
Yeah, it's like that particular model. It's like more modern, but that's just a little thing that he brought up. I thought that was funny. Shout out to Eli.
Yeah, it's very true. The gun that he has, probably it wasn't around. But neither was USB thumb drives.
Neither was the USB thumb drive in RE2. Yeah.
Neither was the Louisiana newspaper from 2017 that was textured in the background, because that wasn't around in 1999.
Right.
But yeah, there's like little things like that. Like,
I do like his look though. I think like what you said.
That is a really interesting point though.
Yeah.
It's an oversight of theirs.
Right.
They honestly noticed that, and then they were just like,
whatever.
We do it.
We do it.
Yeah,
anyway.
like we do it.
Yeah.
We do it anyway.
No. Yeah. I think making them both kind of essential to each other, because if they're relying on one another to get out of the city, hopefully we see a little bit more. I think one point you brought up when we were just talking about it again off the mic was that, like, he just kind of disappears in 3, like, from time to time, and it's fine that he does that. He just goes somewhere, but it's like, where is he going? Like, what is he doing? Like, is he going somewhere to benefit you and help you? Like, at least in RE2, when you sometimes split up with characters, like, they're doing something.
Well, yeah, and to that point too, like, I don't know if we said this on on a video or not yet, but like in RE2, there's, in the original one, Ada can actually help you fight some stuff sometimes. Sherry doesn't. She just gets in the way. But
right.
Ada actually can help you fight. But in RE2 Remake, there's never an instance where there's another character helping you. You notice that?
Right.
There's never
that's
an
true.
instance where somebody else is literally helping you shoot.
But in RE3, you got like stuff like the restaurant.
And you have Carlos following you. Are they going to remove those parts and have those kind of be like Carlos is just running away all the time? And then obviously Carlos is going to be playable, because in the leaked artwork, he has a taser on his waist, which I'm being led to believe it's a defensive weapon. And if it is a defensive weapon, they're not going to give it to him if he's not playable.
And we know Jill gets infected.
And we know Jill
gets
infected. Well,
right.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully they keep that.
I'm sure she will.
Right.
I'm sure she will.
The clock tower fight and, Carlos fighting off Type 2 Nemesis as well will be, a part that we'll have to, probably see. And
Which will
hopefully
be very
they expand the
interesting.
hospital part, which would be cool with this character.
I always like that fight because it's very in character for Nemesis, because he literally ignores Carlos and runs by you.
Yeah. Just to get to where Jill is.
Yeah, he does kind of fuck you up a little bit, like if
you're in
if
his
you
way.
really mess him up. But he just always runs straight to Jill. I find that to be really interesting. I hope they keep that dynamic. I hope we do get to see more Carlos. I'll be honest, I'd much rather see more Jill.
I agree.
I'm not
considering she's my favorite character. I'm not going to be mad if Carlos gets stumped a little bit.
I'm not going to care at all, as long as he's not done dirty.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, as long as he's
Exactly.
not like completely like not Carlos.
Right, and I hope Jill
has
is
no
like
kind of-
Jill.
yeah.
I think that's the same thing too that we both share. Is I hope Jill is like Jill, Carlos is like Carlos. They do them in a better way.
And they have to talk to each other. Like,
Yeah.
or not to just to each other, but they also have to talk to themselves. I want the same interactions that Leon and Claire had with themselves.
Those
about, like,
reactions, right?
you
Those
know,
genuine reactions.
When you play Leon for the first time, and you're walking down the hallway in the beginning of the game, and Leon he says something like, you know, I never imagined this would be my first day.
Right.
Like, that's such a good
It's so
thing.
human.
It's so human. I want Jill to have stuff like that. Like, I would love Jill to just be like, you know, like, there's fire and there's doggos jumping on her and she's like shooting them and like she's walking down the thing and she's just like, you know, when is this gonna end?
Or give me a fucking break.
Give me a break. Like, fucking give me a break. Like,
Yeah.
I want
have
her to be
have her
exhausted.
curse and shit. Like,
Yeah,
have
for
her
sure.
be like she's upset. She's angry. She's you know, uncomfortable. I mean, anyone would be in this situation. It's just giving them the human elements that they deserve, and making it real, making it raw.
Absolutely.
You
And I
know?
think that's crucial. It's just crucial. Like,
Right.
you want your characters to feel better and feel more human. I have no doubt the animations and the voice work will be phenomenal.
Right, and with those cinematics expanding on the story, you know, because that kind of brings a full circle to our last point. You know, like expanding all that stuff, like, you know, we can maybe see Raccoon Shark Stadium or, you know, any kind of iconic areas that we've seen in the Outbreak series, because it's not like they haven't they've referenced Outbreak in RE2,
Yeah.
you know, remake. So it's like we can see more to that in regards to seeing more character on screen and cinematics. I hope we hope,
Yeah, we definitely hope. I want to see them build that world a little bit better.
because
Just
now
in
we're
terms of,
seeing
like,
the city.
padding it out.
Right. Now we're seeing the city, and it's going to be in 4K. It's going to look gorgeous. The
gonna
RE
be
engine's going to look
so
great.
pretty.
Oh, it's going to look amazing.
It's not on Switch,
No,
apparently.
not
So,
yet.
If you have seen our other video
We just put out tonight.
that we put out
of
tonight,
this recording.
right before this recording, it looks like it is available on some websites for pre-order, or they're getting ready to release pre-orders, and it's for PS4 and Xbox. I'm not really surprised because Remake 2 didn't come to Switch, but I would not be surprised if maybe they come as a double pack in the future.
Right.
Especially like when the PS5 and, you know, the new Xbox come out. I would not be surprised if they put 2 and 3 together to make another $40 or $60, whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
I
they
would
can,
pay
They
for
can
it.
easily do that. Yeah.
You imagine a double pack with like a steelbook on the front, collector's edition, where like the steelbook's half Birkin, half Nemesis.
Who wouldn't buy that?
Dude, I'd buy 3.
All the fans listening would buy it.
Yeah, all the fans listening
Yeah.
would be like, you know what? Maybe I want to wait.
I don't even have a Switch, but I'm going to buy that one. Yeah.
Well, not just for the Switch, but for the other 3.
Oh,
too.
yeah. Double pack.
You
Yeah,
know,
you know
'cause
they're going to put them out on the next consoles, guys. Come on.
Oh, yeah,
we know
for sure.
We know that's going to happen.
Yeah, they've sold really well. I mean, the Resident Evil 2 remake, I was looking at it a couple days ago, but it sold like over 4 million.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. That's great.
That's really good
That's a
for
fucking
a
success,
remake.
man. Yeah.
Not to mention, as of the recording of this video, we're a couple days away from the Game Awards, but Resident Evil 2 might they might be bringing home another trophy. They won the Gold Stick Award.
Yeah.
This might be one of the, you know, like this is it. Like,
Because it's made it from the ground up, man. It's not something that people should look at and
as a remake, yeah.
yeah, and just throw it by the wayside. And we've been saying that since day fucking one, where like this game is going to make stuff happen.
It's not a remaster. It's a remake.
Absolutely.
And that means it's its own game.
And this Resident Evil 3 is going to be the same thing, just like
thing.
how Final Fantasy 7
It's
is
going to be the
same thing. It's going
We've
to be
seen that
very
comment so many times about Final Fantasy 7 too. I did reply to somebody actually like 5 minutes before we started recording this.
because it's coming out the same month or quarter.
Potentially,
So
the same
people are
month.
starting to talk about what is better, what's going
Yeah.
to sell better. Why is Capcom putting it out this time? Is that a good idea? Honestly, I think both will do fine in their own respective
All I have
fan
to
bases.
say, neither of them affect each other at all.
Right.
They don't.
And if you like what you like, buy both.
Yeah, buy both,
Yeah.
or buy Final Fantasy 7 if you like that.
Buy it 5 times if you want. Buy Resident Evil 3 times and buy Final Fantasy 7 5
7
times.
times.
7 times, yeah. Buy the collector's edition, the Japanese edition, the English edition, the PAL version, whatever you want to do.
Buy the double pack.
Yeah.
Square Enix and Capcom come
Yeah.
together. You get a Resident Evil 3 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 1 and a double pack.
There you go.
But no, seriously though, like it's not going to affect anything. But yeah, I think just to kind of wrap this video up, I guess give like a couple of things we might not have talked about, but like let's just talk like almost off the record, on the record, but almost like off the rails a little bit. Just tell me like 3 things you really just want to see come back.
3 things I want to see come back. Dodge mechanic. I would like to see the Gravedigger, personally. And I would also like to see, as far as stuff that won't get cut, I would have to say...
Obviously, freeze rounds is the only answer, but we're not going to talk about them.
Live selection, or some kind of choice. Those are my 3.
Those are your 3, like the 3 most important things to you.
For me.
I would say the 3 most important things to return for me are live selection of some kind, which obviously is the answer. Frost rounds, of course, which I said was not going to be a part of our 3 because it's the answer. I would like to see some kind of unique way to fight him, like with the valve handles and the acid. I would like to see you be able to kind of use your environment to fight Nemesis sometimes.
One thing we didn't talk about is like explosive barrels and stuff.
Well, that was going to be my next thing, like the explosive barrels, stuff like that. I'd like to see those make a return. I'm curious as how they're going to do it and where they're going to put them.
For environmental
I would like to see them make a return. Despite what people probably think, and this sounds so weird from a Resident Evil fan, but I would like them to remain consistent and not include the spiders or the crows.
Mm.
Like, if you took them out of 2, like,
I'm not really
consistent.
too big. I don't really care about them being there or not. I kind of feel the same way, where it's like, I'm not going to like... Even when they weren't there in 2, I was like, I hardly noticed.
Yeah, I want the brain suckers.
The brain suckers, yeah, and lickers to stay would be nice. I'd rather have them include both brain suckers and lickers than cut lickers and keep brain suckers. Because, again, why wouldn't they be in the same area? We talked about this. Why wouldn't they be?
No, why wouldn't they be? Because even if Jill... you could even argue, the number one argument for that is, hey, the lickers didn't have enough time to develop. And Leon just happened to be there. Leon and Claire just happened to go through the city while Jill was unconscious. And that's why they saw lickers. But then the problem with that is Jill's awake again.
Right.
She goes through the second half of her game. Well, not really the second half, but she goes through another big significant part of her game in the city when Leon and Claire have already come and gone. So where's the lickers?
Where'd they go?
They had time.
Yeah.
Vice versa. You go through this whole city thing, and then all of a sudden there's hunters running around when Leon and Claire didn't see any.
Right.
Now you could say, Dustin brought up a good point. It's a scope thing. Like Resident Evil 2 takes place in a much smaller scope. 3 is like the whole city. But at the same time,
maybe by design they wanted to take them out.
What we wanted to take it out, and that brings up another interesting point. Not that we want to get too rambly here, but another interesting point is if they do go back and remake the first game, are they going to take the crows out? If they do,
right,
and they take the spiders out,
they're just not fucking there.
Not much in the game. There's zombies, dogs, and tyrant and hunters,
right.
Which could be cool depending on how they do the game.
Right.
It could be really cool.
They could throw a curveball and just fucking put them in this game. They just be like, here's the spiders, here's the crows. Fuck it.
The Black Tiger has got to be in the first game if they remake that again. But that could be the one.
Right. I was going to say,
like
instead of multiple spiders.
It makes sense. Like they could do a nest in the tunnels. But yeah, that's really all. I think I have a third thing I didn't say yet.
No, you did. You said freeze rounds, live selection.
No, freeze rounds don't count.
Freeze round, live selection, and then live selection. And you just brought up
the barrels and the environmental things. I would say my third thing for this, especially for this game, because I believe it is absolutely essential to this game, but I want there to be parts of the game that just have a ridiculous amount of enemies. Like, it's the city.
Push the engine to the limits.
Push the engine to the limits. Make it so that you're not shooting them all. And I want to see the return on top as a part 2 to that. I want to see the return of the brain suckers. I do want to see them come back.
Yeah.
And I would like to see the lickers involved.
Yeah.
But if not, I'm okay with it.
Cool.
Oh, and the Gravedigger. I want to see him get a cameo, like the alligator, but I kind of do want him to be cut down to just that. I don't really want him to be like a whole big ass boss fight.
Right.
Because it, in line with Resident Evil 2, which some people might not agree with me with that, but that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. There's no wrong answers here. It's just all speculation anyway. But I do think that he is a little whimsical and it is a little out of place. But I would still like to see him there. Like, it would be cool.
Yeah, I would like to see it, personally. But yeah, that wraps up this video of
just to put that out there before we wrap it up, this is not the only things we want to see.
No.
This is just 5 of the things that we pretty much just wholeheartedly agree on.
Right.
Like, we want to see these 5 things.
Because now that we're having these conversations, and this
it's going to open more thoughts.
Right, and this is also pre-trailer, pre-official announcement, pre-anything. So this is really early speculation.
Vanilla speculation, if you
right, but we just wanted to kind of give you a fan
vanilla
list.
Pre-alpha.
Right, vanilla pre-alpha, because we are fans of 3, and we wanted to kind of give it from the fans, for the fans, our list of something that, because it's so near and dear to us, so we wanted to make sure that we kind of have, these ideas that we want to see actually happen with the remake and perfect it,
Also, another interesting thing is how they're going to handle Brad.
Right.
We didn't even talk about Brad in this video, which
No.
and the reason why we didn't do that is because we have plenty of other Resident Evil 3 videos planned.
Right.
So guys, stay tuned.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe.
Yep.
Yeah, comment down below, join that community.
Love the engagement going on in the community right now.
Yeah, right.
Too. Like,
it's great.
Guys, you guys are commenting so much. We really do appreciate it.
We try to reply to all you guys, talk
or at
to you
least
guys.
we see everything. If any of you are leaving comments, you can see we love everything. I'm trying to make sure that me and Anthony get to everything. Anthony's on it. I'm on it. We're here because we're all Resident Evil fans.
And it's a great time to be a Resident Evil fan right now.
I love that we started that.
Yeah.
Because we're the only ones who say that. But it is truly a great time to be a Resident Evil fan. Resident Evil 3, I'm predicting January, but we'll have more videos on that later.
Right.
But we're going to find out. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. You have anything else you want to say?
That's it. Just thank you all of you for the support. We really appreciate it, and we wouldn't be here without all you guys. So thank you.
We're saying thank you a lot, but words really can't describe like
the feeling we get just
how much
to
the
make
engagement
content
makes us feel. Yeah.
Right, and to put stuff out and to get a response the way we do. We appreciate it.